All right, so let's talk about the concept of citizenship. I read through all your emails, and you all had a range of ideas of what it means to be an American citizen, which is great because it means something different to each individual person. But when we talk about just the definition purely of the word citizenship, not just of American citizenship, but of being a citizen, it is at its basis an agreement between a person and their government, established by law. So generally, as a citizen, you are guaranteed certain things from the government. The government will provide you, say, protection and against both violent threats and against threats to your health and safety. They may also entitle you to house you and clothe you and feed you, depending on where you live. But generally, you're getting things from the government. In exchange, you're giving things back. So the most literal form is taxes. We all collectivize and pay taxes, but there's also requirements as a citizen in some countries to serve in the military or do other national service or to contribute to kind of collective other activities, whether it be going and working on farms or banding together in disaster relief. Citizens are required to do things for their country, and in return, they get things back from their country. Now, what falls into these two categories varies entirely, and each person, based on their ideology, has a different idea of what they think a citizen should be required to do for their country and what their country should be required to provide for its citizens. Now, in the United States, we like to think that we as citizens have a really great deal. We really like to think that our government guarantees us so many of these freedoms that are unique to our country, right? We believe that our government has this big selling point of these personal freedoms, and they will never, ever take your freedom away, at least without a very fair trial. That's, of course, not entirely true all the time, as in the case of Japanese internment being a very obvious example. You could also consider the imprisonment of Chelsea Manning as one where an American citizen has been detained without the normally recognized rights. There are many instances of American citizens being denied certain rights in certain circumstances that at the time were tried to be justified, but usually in retrospect were not justified based on the ideals of the United States. And we will talk about that more. The same could be said about our government. We like to think doesn't kill their own citizens, but in multiple instances we've found this is not true. Those of you who remember United States history, remember that National Guardsmen killed protesting students at Kent State University in 1972. So, I ask you all, should American citizens be subject to a military draft? This is an example of something that Americans have not been subject to since the end of the Vietnam War. And during the Vietnam War, it was one of the prime contentions in American society. It was a massive, divisive issue. And I want you all to watch a video about the Vietnam draft and then write a response that you will find on OneNote.